The Territorial Cup is staying in Tucson this year as the Arizona Wildcats took down the Arizona State Sun Devils 38-35. Arizona State falls to 3-9 on the year, 2-7 in Pac-12 play, and that 9-loss mark is the worst in program history for the Sun Devils. Welcome to the post-game analysis for Devils Digest. My name is Nick Borgia. Alongside me is publisher Hode Urbino. And Hode, this game was a boxing match all the way to the end. Maybe hit some expectations that we were thinking about, maybe did not. But what was your overall reaction to this game?
Yeah, Nick, I think it's funny. I've said that this is really the hardest game of all year to predict. You look at the stats, you look at the trends, you think that one team is going to display these offensive tendencies or these different tendencies, and then you come over here and play the game, and it's absolutely a bizarre game. We'll talk in a second what went not according to expectations on both offense and defense. It's really a heartbreaker of a loss, obviously, for Arizona State, not because of just what you mentioned, having for the first time in program history, a nine-game losing in one season. Also, not being able to extend their streak that stood at 5 games coming into this afternoon. But really, I think when you have just an absolute bizarre game, you really should expect anything and everything, and that's really what happened here in Tucson today. Myself and maybe a lot of others really thought that Arizona State was going to really get blown out of the water today, and they actually came back from a 10-point deficit in the second half to lead the game. But here they are losing by 3 points, and as we said probably a million times, Nick, Vegas knows, because the line was Arizona -4, and sure enough, the Wildcats only win by 3 points. Obviously, that's maybe a solace to the bettors on this game, but definitely not a solace to Arizona State, who absolutely had a miserable season, and to end in heartbreak fashion to the in-state rival, that's really insult to injury.
And this ASU offense, they did what they had to do, putting up 35 points. Trenton Bourguet had a solid performance, was able to spread the ball around to players like Jalen Conyers. Gio Sanders had a good game, Elijah Badger. But ultimately, it wasn't enough to topple the Wildcats.
Yeah, we talk about the bizarre aspects of this game, Nick. 5 turnovers for Arizona State, but U of A was only able to capitalize on one of them, scoring a touchdown. And another peculiar aspect of this game, I would say that Trenton Bourguet, the ASU quarterback, for the most part did actually have a clean pocket, but it seems like just on the couple times that the U of A defense was able to get to him, he had a sack and a fumble. He had an interception because he was pressured, had his throwing arm tilted. So that's really just the minute differences that happen over here, and that's no really surprise that the score is that close, because that really was just the subtle differences. If you talk about another bizarre aspect, Arizona State did not run the ball all that well, just 161 yards. Yes, Xavier Valade had 97 yards rushing, averaged 4 yards a carry, also had 2 touchdowns. But the fact that his backup, Daniel Ngata, did not play due to concussion, I think really put some extra pressure on Valade, and also felt that this U of A defense, again, you talk about bucking a trend, they were not able to stop anybody on the ground for the first 11 games of the season, but this game, they really held that ground game by Arizona State in check. Now, you definitely give credit for Bourguet, seeing that the running game was not working all that well, and still able to inflict some damage in the passing game, 376 yards passing, did have the 3 touchdowns, but also had the 2 interceptions, which was part of those 5 turnovers. Gio Sanders in last game as a Sun Devil, a monster performance, 120 yards, had a touchdown. Elijah Badger had over 9 yards receiving, also had a touchdown. Jalen Conyers, 10 receptions, 76 yards, also had a touchdown. So I really thought that the aerial targets for Arizona State really did perform well, even though I think the offense as a whole really came slow out of the gates, and that's just one more aspect I think that if Arizona State would look back at, I would really see that cost in the game. But to me, from an offensive standpoint, beyond the obvious 5 turnovers, the fact that Arizona State was not able to establish a ground attack, again, with Ngata being out, that was definitely just that much stiffer of an obstacle. But nonetheless, I think that really did in Arizona State. But the fact that they're able, really, like I said, to come back in the second half from a 10-point deficit and actually lead really shows the resolve of the team. Yes, resolve is not always going to get you a win, but I really thought this ASU offense, maybe more in the second half than the first half, really did play one of the better games of the year. But 5 turnovers, that's impossible to overcome against a lot of teams. That was the case this afternoon.
And the ASU defense, not too much surprise there, giving up 38 points. Made some crucial stops when it mattered, but Michael Wiley of Arizona just absolutely had his way and had a day. 3 touchdowns, ran all over the Arizona State defense.
Yeah, and I was like maybe going a little back and forth with fans on Twitter saying that what Michael Wiley did today was absolutely unexpected, and people said, well, if ASU's run defense really was struggling all season long, especially in the last few games, so why should we expect anything different? But when you talk about a very prolific quarterback in Jaden DeLora, passing for 200 yards on the nose, no touchdowns, actually had 1 interception, and U of A actually inflicting damage on the ground. I think to some extent that really was unexpected. But like you said, Nick, Arizona State did not even come close to having an answer to Michael Wiley. He had one of his first touchdowns, was over 50 yards. And really in the third quarter, where Arizona absolutely exploded for 21 points, he was definitely really a big part of that. So honestly, Nick, you told me before the game that Jaden DeLora was going to have only 200 yards passing, no touchdowns, and throw an interception. I would say that Arizona State is probably going to win this game, even if they just squeaked by. But nonetheless, this Arizona offense really found a way to be creative, if you will, really maybe reinvented itself and showed they did not have to depend on an absolute prolific quarterback that was averaging 316 yards passing coming into this game. And this defense, we've seen it a lot, especially in the last few weeks, just really gets kicked in the teeth time and time again. Untimely penalties, that has just been another frustrating running theme throughout the whole year. This defense showed some life, some moxie, as Sean Aguano likes to say, when they did have the fourth down stop really late in the fourth quarter. I think it was just about a minute 20 left. But Arizona State, with its 5th and last turnover, really sealed their fate. So this was a defense that, first quarter, second quarter, fourth quarter, did not play bad at all. Did not allow more than 7 points in each of those 3 periods. But when you give up 21 points on the road to an offense that is plenty explosive, maybe explosive in a way we didn't expect them to be, that's really just giving too much. I know some people will say that maybe this loss is really more on the offense that had the 5 turnovers rather than defense really trying to hold in check a team that on the regular scores 30 points or more. But I think that the defense definitely did have their lapses, and again, that third quarter just allowing 3 touchdowns is just way too much to overcome.
So a disappointing way for ASU to go out this season, capping off a season full of headlines and hot topics. But Hode, I want to hear from you. What do you think's next from this team?
Yeah, well, let's absolutely look back. I think it's just really frustrating for a lot of ASU fans that the bar of expectations was lower than low. And for Arizona State, this is a team that a lot of pundits before the season began picked to win 4 games, maybe 5 games, and here they are, as you mentioned, with their worst season ever, 3-9. So frustrating for ASU fans, frustrating for the team that the critics were not able to be defied, if you will. Obviously, just extremely hard on a team when you're replacing your coach in week 3. Interim head coach Sean Aguano, I think, did the best he could. Sure, he made mistakes, just like everybody on the coaching staff did, like players did on most Saturdays. But nonetheless, I think that this was a team that did show resolve, did show fight. I just felt that mental mistakes and frankly just lack of talent compared to a lot of opponents is really what did them in. And if you're looking for a silver lining in all of this, Arizona State, in a matter of a few days, should have a new head coach. As I mentioned just about 2 weeks ago, I do expect it to be Oregon offensive coordinator Kenny Dillingham, an ASU alumnus. And I think that that change in leadership can really bring a lot of excitement to the team. Now, don't get it twisted. It's definitely going to be a somewhat long rehab process for the Sun Devils. We're sitting here still not knowing what the NCAA sanctions are going to be, when they're going to be levied, but nonetheless, I just feel that this Arizona State maybe is going to start marching in the right direction. This is a season that I just felt that just was not meant to be. There were so many things that were that happened in the offseason, transfer portal, losing your defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator in a matter of 2 weeks apart in a time of year where you just absolutely cannot get quality candidates to come and to come to replace them. I mean, it's just absolutely a laundry list of issues that affected Arizona State even before the season kicked off. And again, if you had very low expectations of the Sun Devils, unfortunately for ASU fans, you really absolutely right. Let's just hope that what's laying on the horizon is really going to result in much better days, because this Sun Devil fan base has absolutely had their teeth kicked in seemingly on a weekly basis, and we'll see if this new leadership, new coaching staff, maybe a roster that might go through a lot of overhaul is going to be the beginning of a new and more promising era for Arizona State. All I can tell you, Sun Devil fans, the next few weeks and the next few months are definitely not going to be dull in Tempe, and we're going to be here to cover it all. And I'm sure, just like the players, you want to flush this season and put it in the rearview mirror, and really just think about the future, because what we saw today in Tucson was really just a microcosm of what we've seen for the entire 2022 campaign.
Right, so we will keep you covered with the head coaching situation, with the offseason moves, all sorts of things going to go on during the offseason for the Sun Devils. Keep it locked in at DevilsDigest.com for all that content surrounding that news. Also drop a follow on Twitter at DevilsDigest. And for Hoder Bino and the rest of Devil's Digest, my name is Nick Borgia. We appreciate you tuning in, and we will see you soon.